Hi everyone, my name is Naiva Charity. I love to groom leaders, take up spaces in the marketplace, and help people to influence cultures in those spaces. Allow me to introduce to you the King series. As a leader, you agree that identity is very important. How you see yourself does matter. If you see yourself as a king, you will rule and reign as a king. But if you see yourself otherwise, so will you be. And those who are in my spaces, they know my AKA, also known as Charity God's Queen. And this has influenced a lot on what I do, how I do things, how I inspire, how I lead, so many of this and more. So today we want to look at this King series. How did the kings of Israel reign? Those who succeeded, why did they succeed? If they didn't succeed, why did they fail? What could they have done better? What can you do better? All these and more are going to discuss in these sessions we're going to be having. But before even we go any further, I would like to indulge you in understanding how did these kings even come to play? Because initially God was their king and they didn't need a king. First Samuel chapter 1, there's a family of Elkanah. He had two wives, Peninnah and Hannah. Hannah was barren. Peninnah was not. She had many children. And year in, year out, she kept on taunting Hannah for not having children, like it is in society today. And so what happens is every year they would go to Shiloh, a place of worship, a place of sacrifice and dedication of their lives to God. So they would go with, their sacrifice and portions. And because Elkanah loved Hannah more than Peninnah, he would even give her a double portion. But that did not, help Hannah. Hannah wanted a son. And so this one time, as she went to the temple, she was crying out her heart to God. Eli, the priest, who was sitting at the door, kept on singing, and he thought she was drunk. And so he tells her, "Why are you drunk at such a time?" And so Hannah tells him, "I'm not drunk, I'm just pouring out my anguish." And true story, he says, as a priest, he says, "You go, you'll have your way." And that's how, we need priests in our lives as marriages. Your husband is your priest. If you're a wife, in our churches, we have priests. So priests are needed. Many times the words they speak, they can either influence you positively or negatively, depending on how you take those words. And so she goes back, lives with her husband, gets back to a child. She called Samuel. Samuel was a first judge. And Samuel, because of the vow that she had made to God, she brings Samuel to the priest and says, "Here is, Samuel, as I promised to God, I made a vow to God, he is yours." So Samuel becomes a first judge of Israel. And, so he takes on the role of, judging cases and different things that he did. But the time reached and Samuel became so old. But the children that he had were not walking in the ways of the Lord. They were taking bribes, and they were doing all kinds of wicked things. And people said, "We also want a king like the rest of the people around us." And it displeased Samuel because Samuel knew that God was their king. God told them, because of their hard hearts and rebellion, give them a king. But tell them what is going to happen if you get a king. You get a king, you're going to have his labor, you're going to have to give your land to the king, you're going to have to give your children to come and be servants. They said, "We don't care, all we want is a king." And so join me in the next session as we discuss how did Samuel deal with it? How then did he choose the first king? Thank you very much.